Hey guys, how you doing? Welcome back to the REI Network podcast with me, Gavin Timms. Today I am excited. We are going to be talking about direct mail and why direct mail is definitely not dead and why you need to be sending it right now. Okay, I'm going to be bringing him over. Ryan Dixon is going to be joining me today, a good friend of mine. Ryan, how you doing?
Hey, what's up, Gavin? How are you?
I'm good, buddy. I'm good. I appreciate you coming on. I thought it was super important to get you on. Obviously, I've just done a pretty large mail piece with you probably about 4 weeks ago. We're on a cycle of 3 months.
hmm
We're getting a great response rate. And I hear about direct mail being dead. And I actually think people need to get right back in to it right now before the texting stops, before people get stopped cold calling or whatever's going to happen with that.
hmm
Get on before everyone else gets on. You have to sometimes pivot in this business, beat people to the punch, and actually think ahead, stay ahead of
Yeah.
the game, and that's kind of what I was trying to do. And our response has been good. So I want to dive into you. Just before we get going though, guys, we have a couple of things that we want to give away. We're going to be telling you right now, not at the end of the show. We don't want you to wait because there's going to be limited spots for this. So as you're watching, there's a few things that we want to just to give you here. So Ryan runs all my direct mail, and you have the opportunity to actually schedule a call with him today, okay? And he can analyze your market. We're going to be talking about how he does that in today's session, looking at what mail pieces are working, the size that you should send. Should you be putting, your name and your company and your website? Is going to cover all that with you on a personal one-to-one call, just like he did with me when he set me up. And you're going to get discounts because you're watching this episode. So there's a couple of things we're going to give you here. You can text Gavin to 314-458-6041. That is 314-458-6041. Text the word Gavin and you can schedule a call, or you can go to email Ryan at ryan.reiprintmail.com and use the code Gavin. And if any of that doesn't work, just say when you get on the phone, you listen to this episode, because I want to make sure that you get the special pricing and the discount that we're going to be giving you. Now, why am I doing that? Is because I wanted you as the listeners to get back kind of what's been working for me. Again, I'm very big on saying, if you've been listening to me, what works and what doesn't, the good, the bad in my business. And again, I'm trying to hit and stay ahead of the curve. So we're going to be talking about that. I just want to throw that out. We're going to be talking about it again at the end. So Ryan, how are you?
Oh, I'm great, man. I'm fantastic, and thank you for having me. Really appreciate it. Always enjoy it.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. So obviously you're an investor as well. I want everyone to know that you're not just with a company here that's just selling direct mail to people. You're actually an active investor. You're actually doing deals,
hmm
which is huge, right?
hmm
Because a lot of companies have never bought a house,
Yeah.
sold a house, or done anything. So when you're actually having these conversations, you're coming from a place of knowledge in
Right.
our industry, right? So
Right.
give us a bit of background on you,
Sure.
and let's go from there.
All right. So let's see. I've been doing real estate for about 15 years now, and I owned liquor stores here in the St. Louis market, and I hated it. It was awful, and it just wasn't the business for me. And a lot of real estate people actually kind of started businesses that just are just awful for them, and then they always know in the back of their mind, I just need to end up in real estate. That's where I need to go. And I had bought coaching before, and it just and I started doing deals, and I had too many balls in the air, just like a lot of entrepreneurs do. And of course, I was dropping them all around every corner. And ultimately, I did a few deals, discovered wholesaling, said, okay, you know what, this is for me. And I was a horrible fix and flipper. I don't do many fix and flips. I do what I'm good at. And so I was using mail to get deals, and I was falling on my face over and over again. You're guessing, right? You're going, all right,
Yeah.
this looks nice. I like this. but what's crazy is I send this and I like this through the mail, but they don't like it. What's going on? So you had to do a lot of guessing, a long time ago. You were just throwing it out there, seeing how it was going. Response rates were higher then because there was less competition in the market. So you would still get deals, but when you would fall on something that was amazing, you were like, wow, you could do really well and do a bunch of deals. And that's what really got me into it. I ended up selling out of my liquor stores, and this was the company that I used for my direct mail here locally. And so I came here and ended up meeting the president of the company. We got a relationship, and then here you go. Here I've been here now. I guess we're going on about 5 years, and I've got thousands of clients across the United States. And I jumped at the opportunity to continue my real estate business, but also make relationships with real estate investors all around the United States. So it was a dream job for me. I never thought that really that's what I wanted to do was, get a job and teach people how to do direct mail. But it was a really great concept that the president of the company was like, I want to teach people how to do it really, really well. And I have this theory that if we help people get deals, they'll stay with us longer. And you can go to all these real estate events, and you can meet some of the best people in the industry, and you can rub elbows with the biggest real estate investors in the United States, and just show people how to do mail. And at the same time, you can still focus on your real estate business. And so that's how I got here, and still doing deals today. And now the difference is that now I have so many tools at my disposal. We have 5 direct marketing coaches here. I'll circle back around to that, but that's what I am, a direct marketing coach. And we track our results with the technology that we've created all across the United States. And so we solve the problem that I used to have, which was the guessing. So what we do is we look at an area and we go, this is what's working, or this, or this. Don't go over here. Don't do this, right? But right here, this is the sweet spot. Here's what's working. And by the way, here's the lists that are working. By the way, here's the cadence you should use. Here's how many pieces it takes to get a deal. If I knew this stuff back in the day, I would have never started at 100 pieces. Right. Yeah. And figured out, that's way too low. I can't get a deal like that. I'm just burning my money left and right. It would have saved me a lot of time and money. And that's our goal.
No, that's great. So literally, from what you didn't have to what you have now, which is what you've helped me with, and some of even my clients that you're working with a few people in my group as well that are getting great results, is that you're actually analyzing the market, their individual market that they're in, and looking at what actually works, not from you're just plucking it out of the air, but you actually have data that you back up with this, like actually other people's not their, well, kind of their response rates, but from the mass, right? You never share anyone else's details,
right?
But you can also, so I want to throw that, make sure people are aware of that, but you can actually look and go, this, the small postcard again, or the medium, or you do the trifold letter, which I'd never seen. And one of my clients got crazy results when that first came out. And then you have to learn as well, not only then once it's working, it becomes then not to work. So you have to again change again. So that's what's unique about this, and about this opportunity of people being able to do, again, reach out and have a free call, all right, with a direct mail coach that's going to be able to help them analyze that. But also, like, hey, we're doing right now the medium postcard, right? And we may have to change if them response rates drop. We may have to pivot and change. And we're getting we're still landing, so we have calls coming in, but we're in about that 0.7% range, okay, right now. And a lot of people in our industry are getting less than 0.5%, right? So we're still pretty early into doing this, but we have committed to 3 months. I think we're doing after about 18,000 mailers. I think we committed to, so we're giving it a real go. And I'm excited. So when people do a call with you, Ryan, kind of what are the things that you're asking and kind of going and talking about with them?
Yeah. So in addition to everything we just said, it's really important that I figure out your strategy, right? Because when you talk to me and you say, okay, well, I'm doing creative finance, I'm doing subject twos, I'm doing wholesale deals, right? And there's all these different things. And the fact that, we have people here that are direct marketing coaches, and I would be yours, if you're watching this, I'm your direct marketing coach, but we have 4 or 5 others that have knowledge on the industry and the different strategies. And the fact is that you pull lists differently for subject to than you do, for certain kind of wholesale situations, maybe low income and things like that. So, initially it's, let me tell you a little bit about me, but let me learn about you. And I really need to know what strategy you're doing, where you're at. Are you in a saturated market? Are you on the outskirts of that saturated market? How many deals are you expecting a quarter, a month, or a year? And then really setting those expectations. Hey, here's what I would, this is how many pieces I would expect in that market in order for you to meet your goals. And sometimes they're like, that's great. And then sometimes like, well, that's too much. How do we grow to that? And we go, okay, we live our lives one quarter at a time. So let's get a plan, right? Let's take the next 3 months. Let's get to that deal or two. Let's take that money, use the house's profit, right, to get to a deal a month or a deal every 2 months. And so I have a lot of clients that are starting out at their first deal, and then I've got a lot of clients that are in their third round of increasing or doubling how many deals they're getting a month, because mail is very, very scalable. As much as kind of downplay that mail gets, it's one of the most scalable marketing channels that you can use. If you're getting a deal every 2,000 pieces, well, then send 2,000 pieces a week and get 4 deals a month. It really works that way. We just need the data. So we need to look geographically at your area. So really that's kind of the initial conversation. Let me learn about you. Let's tell you how many pieces it's going to take to get a deal. And then we go in and we look at our recommendations, usually a 1-hour Zoom call after an introductory meeting, and we actually analyze your entire market. So we go in and we go, okay, here's the pieces I see work, and here's the kind of list I would pull. If you want to pull them, that's fine. If you want me to pull them, that's fine. Either way, I'm going to help you. I'm going to talk about filters that I feel are being used that are successful. Here's some no-nos. Here's some huge pitfalls. Don't fall into those holes, right? So we give you some warnings. And then after we analyze that, we build the whole quarter-long campaign, and we go, all right, here's what it would be. And you don't have to pay for it all at once. You can pay by month. You can pay by week. You can figure it out. We make it really easy to get in the game using mail. And so then now you feel comfortable. We got a picture. We know what we're going to send. We have an idea of what to expect on phone calls. We have an idea of how many deals we expect out of the campaign. And then when you're ready, we pull the trigger. Then it doesn't end there. Then there's the pivots down the road, right? So sometime in let's say the next, 2 campaigns, something stops working, or I see something in the market that just goes killer. Well, that's why you have a direct marketing coach. You get a call from me and I go, listen, what's happening in your area right now is we're seeing this mail piece just do killer, and it was off our radar, and now it needs to be used. So we may pivot into that, or we may pivot away from something. But you set meetings with me at that same, you already put it up at ryan.reiprintmail.com. That's where you go to set a meeting with me. And you can pick a 15-minute, 30-minute, 1-hour meeting. I've got them all over the board. Some people just want a strategy discussion. Some people want to talk macro about what's going on in their market. That's okay too. I love this stuff. That's why I'm here. So set a meeting, and then we talk about the amount of calls you've got coming in, how many deals you're working on, what's going right, what's going wrong. And then we pivot. So literally, I'm walking you through all of your marketing, well, at least the direct mail side and the list side, and you've got a partner in your response rate. That's the whole idea.
Mm-hmm. No, I love that. That's great. And everyone that knows me, obviously I've told you, my number one is cold calling, right? Mm-hmm. I've always been a proactive marketer rather than a reactive marketer. I like to control, my lead flow. But I also understand where we're at with text messaging right now. Now it still is, there's ways around. People are still doing it. It's still working very well. But it's going to get harder, right? I don't think it's going to get easier. So Agreed. That's why I've chosen to go, all right, let's go all in. And then people go, hold on, you're teaching this stuff, because I teach marketing. I teach obviously how to lock deals up from the sales side and actually get deals closed. Mm-hmm. But here's the thing. I brought you in because I needed someone that knew response rates. I can pick a postcard, I can send it out, I can pull a list, I can do all that, but I wanted that knowledge, and I wanted that data that you provide for free that says, well, no, you don't want to send that because here's why. We're seeing like 0.2 response rate, but this card we're seeing 0.8. Okay, let's do that one. So that in a 0.5 response rate over thousands of mailers is a lot of calls that you're getting or not getting. Right. which is huge. Now, I want to cover something real quick because I know this is what people are thinking, right? So I'm going to hit it. Well, hold on. If you've got other clients mailing in the same area as me, using the same postcard as me, then how does that work?
Oh, great question. And it's not the answer you'd think that it is. The fact is that you got to think of it more like a rising tide raises, all ships. And the thing is that we're a big REI, print company. We're probably the largest REI print house in the nation at this point. But we're still a small percentage of your investors in the market. Let's face it. You've got a lot of new people coming in. They're in it just long enough to ruin your response rates, right? And so you have to look at it as, we've got a few people in your market doing the right thing, getting deals. So, I've got plenty of people that in our first meeting, they'll go, yeah, that's fine, but I want to do something different. I want to do something that we don't know if it works. I want to do something where we don't know the response rate. I just want to get out there and guess. And I go, fine, we can do that. I work for you. But it's my job to set expectations. And I'll tell you, that's going to be an expensive route. And that's usually not why people talk to me, right? They generally want to get deals right out the gate, right? We want to get them in the first couple of months, maybe 3 months. That's what we want to do, especially if you're just beginning in the space. And so ultimately, if you're sending something that's not working, you're testing it. Now, if 4 or 5 people or even 10 people in your market are sending the right stuff and they're all getting deals, there's enough deals to go around, usually. I mean, unless you're in a really, really, really small market. But when we're talking in places like, Atlanta and LA and Vegas and places like that, I mean, look, you just want to send what works. You don't want to try to go out there and reinvent the wheel. And that's why people like you and the coaches and us, we all get together and we talk about what's working, because there's enough to go around, right? It's that mentality that you don't want to have the scarcity and then go in and go, hey, I don't know what's working. Let's just start testing stuff. It's very expensive, and most people don't survive it. And so the thing is, we have plenty of tests in markets that are even medium size, where we'll have 10 or 15 people in the same market sending around the same pieces of mail. Keep in mind, when people pull lists, I got different beds, I want different baths, I've got a different strategy. I want this zip code, not that zip code. Usually lists are somewhat different to where you're not just right on top of your competition. But we have plenty of tests that show that when everyone in the area kind of starts, not everyone, but let's say, 10 or 15 really good investors in the area start sending the right thing. When you start doing it, it's funny, you'll get a phone call and they'll say, hey, you've mailed me a few times and I didn't get to call you, but now I'm calling. You're thinking to yourself, isn't this the first drop that I did to this area?
Yeah, it's happening to us right now.
Yeah, right. I mean, you're piggybacking on the response of good investors. By the way, usually these are the most ethical investors. These are the ones giving us a good name. These are the ones that you want to work with, right? So ultimately leaving everybody else in the dust, and that's really what you want to do, and you want to make money. So don't get in and try to reinvent the wheel. And we see that over and over and over again.
Yeah, you're trying to cut that learning curve down, which is what most people want. And also, you're exactly right. Our first drop, now I've only mailed niche lists, like 400 or 500 pieces, and I've never done it to the list that we'd pulled before. And there's 2 takeaways here for everybody. Number one is, when they call, we've mailed them 4 or 5 times. When we haven't, we've never mailed them once, right? And they're adamant that it's us. And sometimes that's take me off the list. Sometimes that's actually, like you said, in a positive way, going, okay, this is the 4th one I've received. I think now I might be ready to sell. And you just you roll with it, right?
Oh, man.
You roll with it.
That's built-in repetition. You didn't even have to spend the money for that thank you competition. That's great. You just did my job for me.
Yeah, and I'm sure they're getting it back, right?
Sure, right.
That they're getting it back. But that's super important to understand the that knock-on effect that you get, because they don't even know, like they won't even look that the name's different. Like, Melissa and Deborah and Paul, that didn't even come into play. They just call the number. Like,
Right.
it's
Your
amazing.
your
what they
mail
look
piece
at.
becomes your brand now. Your mail piece really becomes your brand. And people have our attention spans are way too short now. You know, when you send the same piece and you've got repetition, they pick up that piece and they go, "Ah, there he is again." Right. And that's it. Right. They don't really know too much more. They're not turning it on the back, seeing if the return address is the same and all that. That's not happening. That's why succession letters don't work as well anymore. Right. Mentioning the first letter and then going, and you got the third drop going, well, you still haven't answered me from 2 letters back. I mean, in a succession 7-piece strip, they may only get 1 of those pieces or 2. They may have thrown the rest away. That, life is too fast now. And so you really want that repetition, the same thing in the pieces that work, so they can go, there he is again. Right.
Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. And I'm not gonna lie, like, I used to be in direct mail years and years ago when it was like super high response rate. And again, I'm cold calling, that's my main thing, but I'm dabbling back in direct mail again. And it is nice when people are calling you. It is
Yeah.
nice, regardless of the feeling of whether it's take me off the list or whether it's a positive again, because you're gonna get both of them. But it is nice when the phone's ringing and you're not after years of us pounding the phone, drumming up leads, which again, it's still my number one thing. But when people are calling us now, it's like it's much better, and it's nice.
I think you have a lot of people that are wanting to break into the game that have jobs. And if you have a job, if you have a 9 to 5, and you especially have a job where it involves a phone, and then you get home and you go, okay, now all I got to do is call a couple hundred people, right, to be on track for my goal. Let's face it, once in a while you're just like, not today, just not today. And so mail gives you that ability to go, all right, well, if I'm going to take December off on the phone, if I send X amount of pieces of mail, at least I can get X amount of phone calls. And if I get X amount of phone calls, I should get X amount of deals. And so you can choose, right, when to turn that on and turn that off. And if you're just going through a tough spot and you can't pick up that phone and you can't cold call a bunch, and some people, let's face it, they just don't have a good phone presence. If you're finding out that you just don't have a good phone presence, it's a hard thing to fix. It's a really tough thing to fix. And if you're not getting that kind of feedback, if you don't know how to make a friend on the phone, and it's just not in your nature, and it's just not in your tone, right? And it's really hard to fix, and you're struggling with it. Well, cool. You get inbound leads, right? Get inbound leads. It costs money, more money than sitting down and spending the labor and picking up the phone. But ultimately, the lead is a little bit more motivated when they're motivated, right? It could be take me off the list, but they went through a lot, right? They looked at that mail piece because there's a need here. I want to know what he has to say. Okay, now I'm going to call him. They went through a bunch.
Yeah, 100%. And what's amazing, obviously, you've probably heard of, and people listening, of the love languages, right?
Yeah.
I believe that everyone has a marketing language, right? Meaning, what's been amazing to this, Ryan, is I cannot tell you the list that I gave you, how many times I've called and texted this list over the last 4 or 5 years. I just don't know. It's ridiculous. And what's amazing is the leads that we have come in, we have not got in the database for that we've cold called or text. These are different leads because the way that people take on the marketing pieces, like for me, it could come up on my phone as spam on my phone, like spam call. I'm answering. It's just my nature. I will answer the phone.
Right.
If you text me, I'm not responding. If you send me a mail piece, I'm not calling. But then on the flip side, people will never answer the phone. People will only text you back. And then obviously the third thing, they won't do any of them, but they'll call on a mailer. And that's why I think doing multiple things and tracking your numbers, and that's what's been like a big eye opener for me, is I'm like, I bet I get a load of duplicates doing this. And we literally haven't. And I'm like, wow. You know,
it's
It's
crazy.
crazy.
I mean, there are male people out there. That's it. There are male people. There's texting people. They live in silos, and and that's the way it'll always be. And so you're leaving money on the table if you're not using direct mail. The question is, does it fit in your plan? And if it does, then figure out the dangerous stuff in your market, right? Figure out the dangerous stuff. That's why we're here. And so you set a meeting, and then we kind of go over that, and then you got the whole picture. And then, list that you've cold called, you can send a mail and it's just like, I thought this list was tapped. It's not, there's mail people out there.
For sure. Well, that's awesome. That's amazing. So here it is, guys. One more time. Remember, free strategy session to look at your market, and you're going to get a big discount. You can text just text my name, Gavin, to 314-458-6041. Ryan will respond with a calendar invite for you to book the session. Or you can go to email to ryan.reiprintmail.com. Use the code Gavin and you can schedule there. Pick one of them and get on it right now. And it's just worth a phone call. If you have 15 minutes of your life that you can dedicate to just seeing what's going on in your market, you don't even have to commit. This is not like it's going to cost you anything. This is 100% free to at least get some knowledge to say, hey, this is what we should do in this market. And I think you're going to be impressed. So I suggest everyone go over there and do that. Ryan, anything else before we finish up here?
Jump over to the site, reiprintmail.com, and take a look. And even better, we're one of the fewest marketing companies in the real estate industry. I don't know why this is a thing, but we allow reviews on our Google page. So if you go to Google and you type in REI Print Mail, and you go to our reviews, hundreds of reviews I think we're up to now. And the fact is there's stories on there. Everybody loves stories. So you'll see heavy hitters on there. You'll see a bunch of really big investors. You'll see a bunch of really small investors, and they're going to give you stories about how we help them. And so it's so important. If you're not sure, you just want to learn a little bit more, go over to our reviews and just scroll through and take a read. It's a fun time.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, look, bud, I appreciate you. Okay. Thank you for coming on. I think people are going to get a lot of knowledge and gain from this. And guys, I just want to say as well that if you're worried, like, well, what do I do with that direct mail? What do I say to them? How do I take it down? What systems do I use? Make sure you reach out. If you're interested in working with me, you can reach out, email me at support@reinetwork.com, DM me on social media. And we can definitely talk about that. And before you go, if you're listening to us on the podcast or you're watching on YouTube, make sure you give us a like and subscribe. Drop a comment as well if you have any questions on this. And if not, go over now, head over, get your call scheduled. And I believe that you're going to be thanking me later. Ryan, appreciate your time, bud. And
Thanks,
I will
Gavin.
talk to you soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.